Hey guys, it's me, Rohan Singh, and today I'm going to talk about a book. And that book is a book which I found pretty helpful for my SAT preparation. SAT stands for Scholastic Assessment Test, and it is a multiple choice test which is taken by participants so that they can enter for various colleges abroad. Now these colleges are the top colleges abroad. They might be in the top 10 or top 20. This includes Harvard, Yale, Oxford, Princeton, Stanford, all the major colleges which you've heard about. In all these colleges, you need an SAT score, and a good SAT score above 1500 or 1500. Now the SAT, being a multiple choice question paper, sounds pretty easy, but in actuality it isn't. It's actually pretty hard in my opinion. And many people struggle to get the marks which they want, and as a result they can't go into their dream colleges. Now if you're one of those people in those hard times in which you just can't seem to get the SAT score which you want, then I recommend a book for you which may guide you through those tough times and finally get you the SAT score which you want to get into your dream college. And that book is SAT Prep Black Book. This is actually a really big book, but it is actually pretty simple when you read through it. So please do not be intimidated by its big size. This book is written by Mike Barrett and Patrick Barrett. These two authors are actually pretty professional writers. I've looked at the YouTube channel, I've looked at their website. They are professionals, especially in the SAT. So these people know what they're talking about. So this book isn't just from any random person who just wants to write a book for money. That's not it. These people are professionals. I've personally checked. At least this is what I believe. This video is not sponsored. This is my advice and what I think. The first point which I'm going to discuss about this book is unique concepts. Now I know that first you may be thinking, what is so special about this book? What does this book have that other SAT books don't have? Well, I'll tell you this. I've seen through many other SAT books, I've read through them, and I've looked through this book as well. I've completed it, and I can say that this book offers some very different concepts which those books did. For example, the Kaplan books, the Barron books, the Princeton books as well. All these books are good books. I'm not saying that they are useless, but I still think that this book is way better than them in what they achieve to do. It gives you a lot better emphasis on what the SAT really is and how you can tackle it to get the marks which you want. The concepts which are illustrated in this book are actually quite unique and made me realize that the way I was thinking about the SAT was actually pretty wrong, and that was the reason why I was losing marks in many questions. And one thing which I think many people forget about is that they forget that the SAT is quite a different test from other school tests. This is an actual concept which was raised in the book, and I'm going to tell you guys. So when people think about the SAT, they think about things like IIT, JEE, those exams which are quite like the school exams which you take, especially the board exams. But the thing is though, the SAT is not like the board exams or any of those other exams. It's quite a different option. It doesn't test many of the abilities which you've been taught at school. It doesn't test what did Henry V do, why did he do that. It's not like that at all. It tests your IQ skills, basically. It tests your grammar, it tests your mathematics skills, and it tests your reading skills. I know it sounds something that should be self-evident, but the moment you actually read the SAT papers, you'll find that it's quite difficult to separate that thinking from the other thinking, which the SAT actually requires you to think of. The second thing which I'm going to talk about is variety of techniques. There are many other SAT books which are good, but they provide only a basic line of techniques. They tell you, okay, now read this question this way and then read this question this way, and they don't go much into in-depth or provide you with many other alternatives if you find that one technique isn't working for you. Well, luckily, if that's the problem which you're facing, then the SAT book has you covered, as it offers at the very least 2 to 3 techniques for every type of problem it presents. So if you have trouble with one technique, you can try another. If you have then which you can try another with. Basically, there's a lot of free space and creativity in which you can apply your own techniques based on the original techniques which this book presented. It allows quite a bit of freedom, and it has helped me a lot. The techniques themselves are well presented, and you can easily follow them and understand which one works for you and which one doesn't. And the third thing which I'm going to talk about is easy to read. Now you might be intimidated by this book's lengthy or girthy appearance. It has quite a lot of pages. I agree, it has more than 500 pages. This book is actually very easy to read. It is not written in an overly practical language in which you will have to really analyze to read. No, it's written simple. It's written in simple, relatively informal language, which many other books do not provide at all. Many of the books go for the expert, non-casual, formal method, while this is much more easier and friendly to read, and thus you can understand the concepts way more and they'll settle into your mind. The fourth point which I'll be talking about is included sample papers. Yes, this SAT prep book includes sample test papers as well. These sample test papers are actually quite long and girthy, and each of them have an explanation to the various questions and answers and which one is the correct one, but I'll get into that point later. There are a total of 4 question papers in this book, and they're divided up into the reading section, the grammar section, and the math section. And these sample papers are pretty vital for you to understand the various concepts and practice these various concepts which are presented by the book onto real life applications. And the fifth and the last thing which I'm going to talk about is well-made explanations. As I said in the last point, this book includes sample test papers which you can take. These sample test papers also have explanations, so it's not like it just gives you the sample test papers in print and then you have to solve it and look up the answers online. That is not it, and the answers presented in this book are quite different from the ones online, and by that I mean they are way more thorough, way more detailed, and give you a better interpretation of the question, and will teach you, okay, if this type of questions occur, these type of answers are the most likely to be correct. Overall, if you're thinking about preparing for the SAT and want help, then I suggest this book. Over everything, I suggest this book. It's a very, very well made book. I find it incredibly helpful. It has helped me quite a lot. It has raised my score from over 200 points, and that's it. Thank you for watching my video. Subscribe and like if you enjoyed it, and goodbye.